Hello, Serious Survivor here. Today we're going to talk about forming or developing a multifunctional kit or gear set that consists of items that will greatly assist someone in the aspect of urban scavenging and survival. This kit is called an urban S&R kit, an urban supply and resource kit. This is a set of equipment that will allow someone to locate, test, verify, and procure various types of gear and supplies that will give you the greatest potential for survival in any situation. This video will describe tools that a survivor could use in an apocalyptic scenario, mainly one in which the rule of law is absent and the population has been greatly reduced, whether through natural means, man-made events, or even biological means, epidemics, or similar. This would assume that there is no established centralized government left and there is no foreseeable recovery in a reasonable timeline, or basically a permanent or semi-permanent situation or environment. When attempting to survive in a hostile apocalyptic environment, one will need many resources to make this process a feasible one. People have to eat, they have to drink, we get sick and need treatments. Humans need clothing and coverings to stay warm and help protect against the elements. These are normal needs and considerations that we all have and can easily acquire in our modern society. But in a society in which there are no more factories, manufacturing of any kind, no hospitals, clinics, no rule of law, no deliveries, no stores, in this environment, people will either have to produce their own supplies or somehow get them. One way to obtain the necessary supplies is to search and scavenge areas that would most likely have supplies that could assist you. Areas such as this will probably be centralized in urban and industry-developed regions. So when searching for supplies and resources, near or in a city or larger town will most likely produce the best results. No matter where an individual is located, there will very likely come a point in time in which one has to enter an urban or somewhat urban area. When this need arises, then having the correct tools and gear could make the difference between a successful run or a complete failure. Nobody wants to come home in this situation empty-handed, and venturing into an urban and possibly populated area that could be hostile would be a risk that we may have to take, but one in which we would definitely want to obtain as many or as much supplies as we possibly and conceivably could in one trip. We will discuss gear here that would definitely increase someone's chances of obtaining these supplies and salvaging items that would simply improve the quality of life in general. The next videos in this series will discuss the necessary skills and abilities to develop that will potentially guarantee success in urban scavenging. Another video will discuss in great detail the correct procedures of reconnaissance, infiltration, situational awareness, locating and attaining everything necessary to continue existing in a hostile environment. The last video in this series will talk about the locations and places that will have excellent resources and supplies for scavenging or searching. This will be an in-depth, highly researched list. So here are several items that will increase the amount of resources that one is able to locate, repair, and obtain. The first is bolt cutters. This is pretty much self-explanatory. With bolt cutters, we can gain access to areas that would otherwise be off limits. Whether using them to cut locks, cut through fencing, cut cables, or other objects, possibly bars on windows and things such as that, then these items would increase the overall number of places that I could gain access to in this type of scenario. There's many different types of these on the market. There's the larger kind that can cut through just about anything, and then you have the smaller collapsible types and everything in between. For this type of kit, you're going to want something that's strong and sturdy enough to cut through the majority of padlocks, combination locks, and chains that you may run across, but not the largest pair that you could find either, because this is going to be something that we have to carry with us. And remember, everything we carry with us in this type of kit is one less thing that we can carry back. Now these are all grouped together. I know it's 4 different items we're looking at here, but they go hand in hand basically. A map and a compass is one that you pretty much need both to accurately find your location, to reset your position, and to plan your route. But also with a map and a pen and paper, this gives us the ability to take notes to ourselves if we find some items that we possibly can't move at the time. If we find some items that we don't have the appropriate tools with us to disassemble and remove the components we need, or areas that we can't gain access to but could possibly get the gear to gain access to it at a later date, we could mark these places on our map. We could also basically make notes on the areas that we want to return to, the types of tool we need, and anything that we might find beneficial about the area or returning to it. A set of lock picks, the name itself defines their purpose. A set of lock picks will get us into a lot of places that we can't gain access to without brute force if we don't have a set of lock picks. Now, I'm not advocating or condoning anything illegal or any such activity, especially in our modern environment, but for the video's sake, we're talking about an apocalyptic type of environment, then you do whatever's necessary. A set of lock picks not only would gain access to areas, but the benefit to the lock picks over the brute force method of just beating a lock off or beating down a door basically is the fact that it is quiet and you can basically sneak in and out of locations. Lock picks come in various sets and sizes, but if you're going to invest in these, you're probably better off putting a little extra with it and getting some titanium or some very strong picks, the kind that don't bend or break easily. Next is what we call a door jammer. There are several different types of these devices. There's many of them on the market. Type that wedges under the bottom of the door, the type that block the door at its actual hinges, and then the type that cover the locking mechanism itself. No matter which type you use, they all serve one purpose, and that's to keep a door open. We've all seen the doors that have handles or knobs on one side, but not on the other, the kind that lock when you go in and you're sort of stuck on one side. These types of doors are all over the place. And the last thing we want to do is gain entry to a place, but then get trapped inside because the door we have doesn't have an option to open it. So with these door jammers or door jam type of devices, then this allows us to keep these doors cracked open to cover the locking mechanisms, things such as that, so we don't have to worry about being locked into an area that we don't want to be in. Just make sure to recover your devices when you're leaving that particular area. A flashlight or headlamp of some type. The need for this is also self-explanatory. A flashlight or headlight will allow us to see, in areas that we normally couldn't see in. Underneath things, behind objects when we're searching through buildings, manufacturing facilities, things such as that, because you have to take into account it may be daylight outside, but when you enter a manufacturing facility that doesn't have windows and you're in the middle of that facility, it is pitch black at that point. There's no sunlight coming in. So with no lights, then you can't really access these areas, and you're restricting yourself to not being able to enter these areas and find supplies that could be located there. You also want to take into account how visible light truly is and that it can be seen for several miles away. So using these type of devices in town is going to attract attention to you. There's always the UV and the low light green and red lamps that you can buy that put off a decent amount of light that allow you to see a good distance in front of you, but do not allow others to see you from a distance. And let's not forget, if we can afford them, we always have the night vision options if this is not an event that has damaged all electronics or something of that type. Next, a crowbar, a hammer, an axe, something to that effect. A tool that's a larger, solid tool, a metal tool, one that you can use to pry open devices, to beat open devices. Hammers, crowbars, but we don't want to overdo it in the kit, because if we add too many heavy items or large items such as this, it's really going to put a lot of weight on us in the beginning, which once again is going to be that much less we can carry back with us. Pick these devices. There's a lot of lightweight, very solid items for sale. I'll leave some links in the description to a lot of the items that we talk about here, some that I have found to be excellent for their prices. But this is something you're going to want to be as lightweight as possible, but at the same time it has to be as functional and as strong as possible. Duct tape. Duct tape speaks for itself. Duct tape can be used for just about everything. Duct tape is one of the most versatile single items that we can have. Well, with this item we can do everything from make rope to seal something up. So this is an excellent item to carry with you. It's also good if you're trying to enter a place and you're forced to break a window. If you cover that window with your duct tape and then crack the glass, then it's not going to make the noise of the glass shattering and hitting the floor. You'll be able to pull the pieces off individually. So duct tape is a definite benefit and a plus to have in your kit. A siphon pump or a handheld pumping device. The best kinds I've found for this are the kinds they make for aquariums. If you get a heavy-duty aquarium pump, these pumps can pump a lot of liquid in a short amount of time, and they're very, very easy to use. Because sometimes when I find a vehicle, that vehicle may not crank because the battery is dead, or there may be something wrong with it, or the tires might be flat, but there's a very good possibility it's still got a gallon or two of gasoline in the tank. So being able to take this gasoline out and utilize it for my own purposes will be a benefit that's worth its weight in gold. Next is a collapsible water storage or collapsible liquid storage container. These devices are pretty easy to find. They're all over the internet, some links below. But these devices, some of them hold 1 gallon, half a gallon, and up to 3 and 4, and I've seen a 5-gallon collapsible one. These are watertight with very high ratings, like IP6 ratings, and they're very strong. There's some pretty reliable ones on the market, and these will hold everything from water to gasoline, kerosene, any type of liquid basically that's not extremely corrosive, of course, and not too basic, of course. But the reason I like the collapsible as opposed to the plastic gasoline jug is, first of all, we don't know that we're going to find something, so we may not even need this. And the main reason is it's collapsible, so until I use it, it's rolled up into a very small space stuck in my bag or kit. Next is an obvious one, a mini toolkit. Now when I say a mini toolkit, I mean a smaller toolkit, but having the absolute necessary tools. And the absolute necessary tools, the most common tools that you would use in scavenging, scrapping, disassembling items, gaining entry to places, would be flathead, Phillips head screwdrivers, preferably a strong, a good brand. Also a small socket ratchet set combination. And then a torque head or star head attachments for your ratchet. So you're looking at 20 to 30 small pieces in one of these small tool kits, and these can usually be found in pretty small little plastic boxes that would fit in your kit pretty easily. And it's a good idea to have one of these in just about any kit you make. I keep them in my vehicles, my vehicle kits, my bug out bag, urban bags, because if you have tools, you never know what you can build or scavenge. The next few items are not actual necessities, but these items will greatly increase your odds of locating more gear, more equipment, more supplies, and also restoring or repairing equipment and supplies. Now, assuming the type of event has not damaged all electronics in the world, then these devices that we're talking about next, most of them would still function, but if they were all damaged, then of course these wouldn't come into play. Gloves and thick clothes, if possible. The reason we would need gloves and thick clothes is because during the process of searching, scavenging for these parts or these supplies, we may end up in places we didn't expect to be. We may end up underneath buildings. We may end up crawling through crawl spaces, crawling across damaged buildings, gaining access to areas that would normally not be areas we would pass through. So we want to make sure that we dress appropriately for this rough type of work and make sure to wear good pair of gloves to keep your hands and wrists safe from cuts and other types of damage. The less prone we are to injury, the less we'll get injured, and the less need we'll have for first aid supplies. Next, a solar charger or a solar battery maintainer. Now these are two different devices. One's usually 5 to 9 volt, probably 10-20 watt solar panel that's made to charge your smaller devices, recharge batteries through a USB port, recharging cell phones, recharging other devices. But the second type of solar charger I'm talking about is actually a solar battery maintainer. It's a 12 volt solar panel, and this is made to maintain your car battery. And if you have a car that you run across and you think may be in running condition with the exception of the battery being dead, then if you have very strong daylight, you can hook this maintainer to it, and a few hours later, if you have the time to kill, you may have enough charge to get that car to turn over at this point. And it would be really nice to get vehicles running if you don't have any in the apocalypse. Binoculars. Binoculars are probably should be in the list before of something that would be a good need to take with us, because with binoculars we can see at great distance, but it also gives us the ability to zoom in and look through windows and things such as that, and we can examine areas with binoculars to determine if we actually want to gain entry, if we actually want to scavenge and search through that particular area. But this will also give us a wide range of view that will allow us to see people approaching. A gas mask. A gas mask would be important for many reasons, and even for the most simplest of reasons. Some areas that you may be gaining access to could have dangerous fumes in the areas when you're talking exhausts aren't working properly, waste sanitation disposal that are not working properly. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that you could run across an area that did contain poisonous gases or dangerous gases. And that's not to mention if you're caught in a fire with the smoke, or if you want to use smoke as a getaway cover type of deal. A gas mask is going to come in extremely handy. And these can be purchased from anywhere from the old Russian design that you see a lot of for about $20, all the way up to some of the Scots and $400 or $500. So these range for whatever you'd like to spend, but there's no doubt a device like this is something that would come in handy at some point in time, and you definitely would love to have. Next is a voltmeter. With a voltmeter, I realized that with the first word voltmeter, we're thinking, well, why would I need a voltmeter or say any type of testing meter? This is the apocalypse, there's no electricity. With a voltmeter, you can do a lot more than test just for voltage present. You can test to see one very important thing, and that's continuity of circuitry. I can test my circuitry and see if the components are still good, so that if I can somehow restore power, whether that be through means of hand charging devices or solar power, then these devices would possibly work. So a voltmeter will allow me to test devices in the field, so I don't have to get these devices, bring them back to my bug out location or my location that I'm at, test them there, and then, oh, well, they don't work. I just brought them all back here for nothing. So by being able to test them there, then we're able to eliminate what works and what doesn't work, and we take the ones that work and that we can use back with us, and the ones that don't, maybe we make a list with our pen and paper of where these are located, and we can possibly come back and repair later. Well, these are some items that would definitely increase our odds when scavenging or searching for valuable items, for items that could help us survive or help us improve our quality of life. And these are definitely not the only items that would be beneficial. There are many, many more. But those will categorically increase anyone's odds of obtaining what they do need. Please make sure to comment below what items you think would be helpful and what items you think would not be. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to help the channel reach its goal on Patreon, check out the links below. We're trying to reach our goal so that we can introduce a new installment on the series of Welcome to the Apocalypse, the Nuclear War series. Thanks again for watching, and for now, Serious Survivor, out.